This is Bill. I'm a salty old Marine. This is a quick video. I want to talk about two conditions that you may be thinking about applying for, and you probably should do it soon. I've talked about these in previous videos. I'm just going to throw it out there again. The VA changes its rating structure all the time. It usually gives a long notice. So in this case, these are proposals that the VA put out in 2022. And it looks like they're finally going to take effect in 2025. And they affect you, or they might. Here's what they are: sleep apnea, tinnitus. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about tinnitus first. Tinnitus is a ringing in the ears, and if it is constant, it is a 10% disability. It's the easiest VA disability rating to get. It's very commonly approved. It's subjective. Nobody can prove that you have or don't have tinnitus. The part that you actually have to prove is that it happened while you were in the service and that you still have it today. That's pretty much it. If you can do those things and it's constant, it's a 10% rating. But that is going to change. So listen carefully with your tinnitus. See, little joke, tinnitus joke. All right, sorry. I think, August of 2025, the tinnitus rating will no longer be a standalone rating. It will instead be linked to hearing loss. And what that means for veterans is this: if you have tinnitus and you have service-connected hearing loss, then you can still get your 10%. However, it won't be in addition to a hearing loss rating. It'll be whichever one is higher, because they'll both be rated under hearing loss. So if you get 10% for tinnitus and 10% for hearing loss, that's 10%. They're rated under the same condition. And because the VA doesn't allow what they call pyramiding, or stacking one condition of a certain type on top of another condition of the same type, right? You get one or the other. So if you got, say, 10% for tinnitus and 30% for hearing loss, you'd get the 30%, but not the 10%. Currently, that's not the way it is. And if you get zero, or you get nothing, you get no hearing loss, service-connected, you don't get tinnitus. So if you have tinnitus and it's constant and you want to get that 10%, you must get your claim in, and you must do it very soon. You can put in an intent to file. It's good for a year. And the VA is supposed to rate you based on the ratings that were in place at the time you put in your intent to file. So it basically gives you a year's grace. But really, you don't need a lot of evidence to prove tinnitus. So if you're going to file that claim, file that claim. If you sleep on this, you're going to lose it. You won't get the 10%. Granted, it's not a lot of money, but it's money, and it's tax-free, and it's for life. And why would you not, is what I'm saying. If you have tinnitus and it's constant, it's $174 a month for the rest of your life. You don't want it? I mean, I'll take it. I got it. I got a 10% tinnitus rating. And I have tinnitus, and it's constant, and it sucks. But at least I have the disability income for it. If you're planning to file for that, you need to do that real soon. Second one, sleep apnea. Sleep apnea has, until very recently, been one of the easiest ratings to get a high rating for. That is to say, 50%. It was sometimes called an automatic 50%. I don't know if that's really true, but that's what a lot of people called it. What they meant by that was, if you have a diagnosis of sleep apnea, meaning you had a sleep study done, and they said, yeah, you got sleep apnea. You stopped breathing in the middle of the night. And the diagnosis is a CPAP, which, by the way, is what it normally is. So the diagnosis and the prescription, they follow one another. So if you've been prescribed a CPAP for your sleep apnea, and you apply for that, and you can tie it to your service, either directly or through secondary condition, it's 50%. That's the rating, 50%. That's nothing to sneeze at. So that, if you have it, is a good rating to claim. It's a bit of a pain because first you have to get a sleep study done, which kind of sucks. You got to hook yourself all up and sleep through the night, and then they tell you if you have sleep apnea or not. And two, you have to get a diagnosis of a CPAP machine, and I'm using one, and trust me, it's not a lot of fun. So yeah, there's that. But on the other hand, sleep apnea can be a very debilitating medical situation that can cause things like heart disease. It can kill you, basically. So if you have sleep apnea, you probably want to get that diagnosis. You probably want to get that CPAP machine and use it for your own health so that you don't have a secondary condition. And let me just tell you, I do not have VA connected disability for sleep apnea at the present time, but I do have sleep apnea, I do have a CPAP machine, and I have heart disease. Did my sleep apnea cause my heart disease? I don't know. But I do know that my cardiologist begged me to get the sleep study done because my cardiologist believes that that sleep apnea causes heart disease. And yeah, in my case, it might have. So if you're planning to file a claim for sleep apnea, do it soon. Again, the rating is going to change, I think, in August of 2025. What it's going to change to is this. Currently, the VA says if you have a diagnosis of sleep apnea and a prescription for a CPAP machine, it's 50%. Bang, done. Going forward, they're going to say if you have a diagnosis of sleep apnea, a prescription for a CPAP machine, and it's working, meaning it's correcting the condition, 10% or 0%. I kind of get that because remember the VA rates your disability on how it affects your life today. If you're using a CPAP machine and you don't have sleep apnea anymore, then it's not supposedly affecting your life on a day-to-day basis. So I kind of get why they're going to make the change in the rating. However, if you want to file for and get that 50%, you need to do it now. You need to do it as soon as possible because it's going to go away. I'll tell you a story. I have acid reflux, which is known as GERD. And I've been diagnosed with it by a doctor. I take omeprazole twice a day, big dose, and I churn through bottles of Tums. I eat them at work. I eat them after dinner. I eat them by the handful before I go to bed, just so I don't wake up choking on my own stomach acid. Let me tell you, GERD sucks. It really does. At one time, I thought I was going to be able to file a VA disability claim for GERD secondary to my PTSD because I have service-connected PTSD. However, the rating changed. So just like I'm talking to you about tinnitus and about sleep apnea, the rating for GERD changed. It changed last year. It changed before I got in a claim or an intent to file. And what it changed to was this. It used to be you could get a rating if you had acid reflux or GERD and you could service connect it. So you had to talk about how it affected your life, loss of sleep, caused you trouble at work because you're drowsy at work, et cetera, et cetera. And you'd get a rating. Now it requires something extra called esophageal stricture, meaning a little pinch in the throat, choke point. It's required for every rating level for GERD. I don't have that. I went to the doctor and they put me to sleep and they stuck a pipe down my throat and they looked at my throat and they looked at my stomach. And yes, I was diagnosed with GERD, but I don't have a esophageal stricture. So guess what? No rating for GERD. The rating changed. I didn't file in time. I don't get it. I would spare you that. If you have tinnitus, if you have sleep apnea, get those claims in, please. And in summary, I also want to add this. Once you have the rating, unless you go back and file for an increase or you get your claim otherwise re-examined by the VA, it will not be lowered after the rating regulations change. So if you have that 10% for tinnitus and they change it, you won't lose your 10%. If you have that 50% rating for sleep apnea and they change it, you won't lose your 50%. They don't use the term grandfathered, but it's effectively grandfathered, meaning whatever you have, you keep, even after they change the rules. But it's going to depend on you getting your claim in on time before they change it. After they change it, you're out of luck. I'm out of luck with GERD. Don't let that happen to you. This is Bill. I'm the salty old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a comment. Tell me about your questions. Tell me about your problems. What do you want to see more of? If there's something you don't like, tell me about that. I'm open to suggestions. I read every single comment, and I reply to as many as I can. As always, have a great day.